which plus and minus. Anyway, Theodore Reich wrote an awful lot on masochism and the power of masochism. And it has to do with aggression turned against the self, the pleasure one gets hurting oneself. And the pleasure here is not just physical, putting pins in, sticking it could be all that, you know, hurting oneself, like falling down, getting injuries, whatever, biting your mouth, so on, bite your tongue, your lip. But the psychic pleasure one gets in hurting oneself psychically, and that linked with Freud's emphasis on self-destruct, repetition compulsion, self-destructive patterns, destroying how one limits one's life in order to live one's life. The self-guilt, the expiation, the shame, the dread, and the anger against the self, all gives one permission to live a little. Theodore Reich gave one little example of someone who's putting something in the trunk of his car, and he puts the trunk down and smashes his head. He sees that as a compromise between the life and death drive. He's hurting himself without killing himself. That gives him permission to live. So he can go on living as long as he hurts himself enough, not to end up suiciding, but to have the satisfaction, the masochistic satisfaction of the injury, the wound, the hurt, and the wound that is being touched all this time is not a physical wound. It may be somatic, partly it's somatic. It's not, it's a psychic wound. It's a psychic wound that begins pre-birth, birth, post-birth. We don't know when it begins. The feeling of being wounded, the primal wound, the primal sense of being wounded. And I've written in different places, it never stops screaming. There's a scream that never stops, a wound that never heals. And we work with it and we modulate it. We go this, we have joys, pleasures, joys. Ancient literature through Renaissance, through modern times is riddled with depictions of the conjunction and separation and opposition of pleasure pain. Pleasure pain. It's on a pure physical level, pleasure pain. But psychical through Freud and others. Freud was a great channel. The pleasure pain became sadomasochism, became psychical reality, not just, oh, that hurts, that doesn't hurt, but wow, there's a that I get pleasure out of wounding myself, and it's a way of letting myself know. Lots of takes on it. It's a way of letting myself know that that wound is there. Otherwise, I wouldn't even bother with it. Look at our president. Wounded. He's wounding the whole society. And he makes fun of people, humiliates them, coming from an unconscious wound. It's a wound that never heals, but it's making everyone else feel it. But we have that. So when we do something bad to ourselves, look to see what is the wound that wants a hearing. What's the wound that wants it? The shame, the fear, the guilt are only signals